Hell Let Loose has quite a few gameplay systems, and in order to be a good player, you will need to take advantage of these. However, when playing, many people go on autopilot and don't use these systems to their full potential. I know I'm guilty of this myself, and when looking at the meat grinder between the 2 points in most maps, I think many of you guys are too. For today's video, I compiled a list of 8 reminders of aspects of Hell Let Loose that you might not be fully utilizing. It doesn't matter if you're a new or experienced player, being a bit more mindful about these points could increase your effectiveness in the next match you play. Before we continue, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay up to date with new videos, and if you've been enjoying them so far and you would like to support the channel so I can drink an extra beer next weekend, you can do so through the link in the description. Let's get into it. The first reminder is to use more jeeps and half-tracks. If you're a new player, you probably don't know this, but there are more types of vehicles in the game than the tanks and trucks you see driving around. The commander can spawn these at the HQ and they're actually very useful. In most games I don't see them being used too much, also not by experienced players. The first vehicle is a jeep, which has space for 4 players and can bring ammo crates to supply friendlies. These jeeps are fast, small and ideal for setting up nasty little flanks without attracting too much attention. If you have a few communicating players in the squad, ask your SL to request one from the commander and you can do quite a bit of damage. If the SL and a support take it, you can rapidly drop a garrison behind the enemy push, or if you bring a squad of 4 with satchels, you can start hunting tanks or enemy garrisons behind their lines. In my opinion, the Jeep is underutilized and a very fun vehicle to use, and this is also a reminder to myself that I should be using them more. There's actually a video that I made a while back in which we made good use of the Jeep. I recommend watching it as it's a fun one. The other vehicle I don't see being used are the half-tracks. These vehicles are expensive for the commander, but offer the same capabilities as a garrison. A downside is that the spawn timer is long, and the biggest downside is that random ass blueberries can take these half-tracks from their tactical location to drive them into a ditch somewhere. I do see them being used more than the jeeps, and the commander will pull them out as a last resort when the match is going the wrong way, but they could be used more effectively. So guys, hereby the reminder to use both of these vehicles more to change up the games you play. The second reminder is about what the deal is with the airdrops and parachutes. Do you pay attention to the parachutes that fall from the sky? Or do you even know what their color means? If you're a new player and you don't know what I'm talking about, you'd better start paying attention. The commander can use airdrops for different situations. He can drop supplies that other classes can use to build, for example, garrisons, resource nodes, bunkers and anti-tank cannons. He can also drop airheads, which are temporary spawn points, so you can pull off a surprise attack against the enemy. This means that the enemy commander can use these airdrops against you too. Always keep an eye in the sky to avoid being surprised by the enemy. As a reminder, I want to share with you what the different airdrops and parachute colors are. The commander can drop 3 types of airdrops. A box of 100 supplies that the team can use to build stuff, an airhead to drop a temporary spawn point. By the way, these 2 are often used together to make the temporary airhead into a permanent garrison. And the last airdrop is an ammo crate, which is often used as a distraction before the first 2 airdrops are sent in. The parachutes of the airdrops can be either red or white, and they have some other differences apart from the type of plane that drops it. A white parachute is a US, Soviet or British supply drop or ammo drop. A red parachute with a rocket kind of object is a German supply drop. A red parachute with a small box could be an airhead for all factions, so the airheads are always red, but it could also be a German ammo drop. And if you're not entirely sure what you see, always double check with your map to see if there's a friendly drop. So the next reminder is about garrisons and the distances around it. Do you know how far apart garrisons have to be? Or do you remember how far away it will flare up? Or perhaps you remember how far away an enemy needs to be in order to lock it? I think this is quite confusing even for experienced players. Let's have a chat about garrisons and OPs. In friendly territory, both garrisons and OPs will flare up if an enemy is within 50 meters. The garrison will lock when an enemy is within 15 meters, and OPs will get destroyed when an enemy is within 10 meters. In the red zone, garrisons will lock when an enemy is within 100 meters, so this is quite a bit further than the same situation within the blue zone, which is only 15 meters. This is why it isn't smart to build red zone garrisons near the enemy point, as it will most likely be locked instantly. To build a garrison, it needs to be 200 meters removed from the next garrison. This costs 50 supplies, but in the red zone it costs 100 supplies. In order to destroy an enemy garrison, you can dismantle it, which takes 5 seconds, but this is only the case when it's in a defensive sector or the active offensive sector. In locked sectors or further away from the front line, it takes 30 seconds to remove garrisons. When your team takes a sector, all enemy garrisons and OPs are automatically destroyed. Garrisons are commonly taken out by AT, a tank shell, arty or a satchel. OPs get destroyed when someone comes close, as mentioned 10 meters, but it's also common that they're destroyed by grenades. So hopefully this cleared some things up for you. So reminder number 4 is about flanking and weapon discipline. We've all been there, getting killed, spawning and immediately getting killed at the garrison too. It's hard to assess where the enemy is located and it's pure chaos, especially with enemy arty kicking in. The meat grinder is not a good place to be for a joyful held and loot experience. To truly do well and enjoy this game, one needs to play consciously, and I want to specifically focus on flanking and weapon discipline. The matches in held and loot are long, and a small time investment can bring you good rewards. If you're banging your head against an enemy defensive line and making progress is hard, pull out your map and take a look. Often there are other routes you can take that are quite a walk but offer a much safer approach. You might think, ain't anyone got time for that, but think about it. If you spend 5 minutes walking to get into position, preferably an SL with an OP, and you spend the next 20 minutes having epic fights during which your squad is in control, and you even take control of the point, wasn't that 5 minutes of downtime easily worth it? To truly pull this off, you have to maintain weapon or trigger discipline with your squad. One shot at the wrong time and your cover can be blown and the walk was a waste. Please do truly take a look at the map before trying to pull off a flank, because if the entire team is flanking and you're the only one in the meat grinder, this might not be a smart idea. The enemy would walk right into the objective. Anyway, next time you're stuck in a vicious circle of endless deaths, do try this out. The next reminder is to use the support trick. I'm guilty of this too, asking the commander for a lazy ass supply drop when in need, but every enemy and their mom knows that you're trying to build a garrison behind their lines. So here's a friendly reminder to use the support trick when you have a few chatty companions. For people who don't know what this is, as mentioned before, when you want to build a garrison in enemy territory, you'll need 100 supplies. One support gives you 50, so you need one more. Normally you would request a supply drop from the commander or use a supply truck, which are 100 and 150 supplies in total respectively. However, you can also drop an outpost, ask your support to redeploy, switch classes, and ask another squad mate to drop the second box. And this way you won't give away your location and there's a much bigger chance that your reinforced attack will succeed. I think many of you guys know this trick, but if you play an autopilot you can't be bothered with this shit sometimes. It's very effective however. The next reminder is recon tanks can carry infantry. I'm not even sure if many players know this, I suppose new players don't, but the recon tank can actually carry infantry. If you happen to see a friendly one driving nearby, just ask them in proximity chat to drop you and your squad mates off in a specific location. This can offer you some great flanks and OP locations, but it could even bring your little satchel squad to perfect targets around the map. And while you're in touch with the recon squad anyway, the additional firepower you can call in when needed isn't a bad deal either. The 7th reminder is to build up those anti-tank guns. The AT gun. It's not that I find them very effective, apart from specific locations on specific maps, but they are just awesome. There aren't many games that allow you to build one, so we gotta use these in Held and Loot. If you manage to get some nasty kills with it, it's great fun. For people who don't know, a specific loadout of the anti-tank class has the ability to build a howitzer-style AT gun on the ground with supplies from the support. It's immobile, but can offer great firepower over long distances. It's a bit of a hassle to build and use, so I don't see too many people using them. However, to spice up your gameplay and kill off some enemy tanks in the process, it's definitely good to be reminded that they exist. The final reminder is an important one: get your ass off the point. This goes for defending, and I still see many people doing this, just sitting in the point with an MG waiting for enemies. However, you gotta get your ass off the point. Not only the circle is the cap zone, the enemy can actually take the objective from the 4 sectors around it. By the time they get to the circle you're defending, you're probably already overrun. When you're defending with your squad, make sure you cover all angles and keep an eye out for these pesky parachutes. The SL can scan the area with binoculars. As soon as you have an idea where the potential enemy push is coming from, push out and take their spawn points. Staying in the circle is only important when you're being overrun and need max cap strength as a last resort. I think many players do know this, at least most of the 10% of players that actively defend do. However, especially for new players, this is not immediately apparent from the information Held and Loot gives you. Anyway, these were 8 reminders to keep in the back of your head in order to not only play better, but also enjoy the game more. Are there any other reminders that players could benefit from? Let the others know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and see you in the next one.